Greetings, greetings, family. We are live. Welcome, welcome to the Sister Shanice Show. How is the family? I hope you are all well, doing absolutely fantastic, blacktastic, bombastic. As you can see, we have Queen Nzingha in the house. Greetings, greetings. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Rearing to go, I hope.
Yeah, man. And to share what I can with our community, and hopefully we'll get some good questions in the chat as well.
I'm sure we will. And, we are delighted. We are honored. We're going to be celebrating you tonight, my sis. But before we go down the road, just want to introduce myself, Sister Shanice here, founder of Starlight Global Travels, was doing trips to Africa until the big sea come in and changed all of that. So looking forward to resume that. Also author of the book, My Coconut Trees, which you can get on Amazon. I'm also a radio presenter on the Big G Galaxy Alfiwi, the only de-brainwashing station. And also, of course, a YouTuber, hence why I am here. I'm also a very, you call me an African historian enthusiast. I love reading up and researching on our history. And, I'll be bringing you some gems from that today as well. So put the word out there, family. Sister Shanice Show starting now. Let's get you all in the house. And as you come in, please do rise us up in the chat. Please do give us a thumbs up. Please do let us know where in the world you are viewing us from. We want to know our global reach. So come on, family, share with us. Where are you viewing us from? What parts of the world are you in right now? So as you type and tell me, let's ask our Queen Nzingha. Sis, what part of the world are you at the moment?
I am in the United Kingdom, one of the Babylon that enslaved us and murdered us and massacred us.
Boy, my sister, pains are still there. The wounds are still there. Just hearing you, utter those words just brought up a groaning in my spirit, and let us never forget what we went through. Because if we fail to forget, the torture and the near genocide of our people, the whippings, the beatings, if we forget, it will happen again. Absolutely. Before we realize it, we will be sleepwalking back into a similar situation again. And we must never, ever forget our brave ancestors, our heroes and sheroes, those, who decided that they would rather die fighting for freedom than live a life as a slave. Those are the ones who freed us. And had it not been for them, we would still, be in shackles and chains today. So, we elevate them, we lift them up. Let's remember some of the names. Family in the chat, please rise up some of your heroes and sheroes. Give us the names of some of those heroes and sheroes who you celebrate, who you remember, who you make sure, their names never die. Because if we don't call their names, then they do truly die. But for as long as we remember the works of those great people, they will live on. So drop some names in the chat for me, family. Queen Nzingha and I will throw some names out there for a little while. So let's bring up, of course, Marcus Garvey.
I'm going to go with Jessica Huntley of Bogley Overture.
Oh, as you said, Bogle, rise up, Paul Bogle as well.
Yes, and Sam Sharp.
And Sam Sharp. Those two revolutionary pastors back in the days. The church was a place and a space where we strategized, organized, and planned for our freedom.
And we know we have Amy Ashwood Garvey and Amy Jakes Garvey,
Big up the Garveyites, absolutely. Nanny of the Maroons. Big her up as well. Warrior. Queen Candice, another warrior. Kim Pavita, another warrior. Yes, so many
Winnie Mandela. Never
Winnie,
forget her.
Mandela, yes, Mandela, rise up. Absolutely. So let's see what names we got in the chat. Oh, Kwame was just saying Winnie Mandela as well. Rise up, Kwame Ossi. And he's saying Kwame Nkrumah, Queen Amina. Hey,
Absolutely.
Sister Afrijamo say Marcus Garvey. Yes, we have that one there. Queen Neander. Yes,
Morris Bishop.
Morris Bishop. Absolutely. Let's see who else we've got.
Steve Biko.
Steve Biko, definitely. You know, and our recently departed as well. Tanzania. Magufuli.
Yes,
We still need to be Magufuli in the whole of Africa. May his works and his name, you know, continue to be a light, you know, that shines in the darkness in Africa right now. If any African country needs a strategy as to how to overcome and how to improve the quality of life of their people, all you need to do, family, is implement the Magufuli strategy. Yes. Let's see who else we've got and where our family is checking in from. So Kwame's saying, reminding us of Ya Ashantiwa. Yes, definitely. Indeed. And
Bookman Dottie.
Bookman Dottie. Toussaint Overture. Yes, Suzanne Belay. Yes, and the Voodoo family there. Yes, Mrs. We've got Seeing Child checking in from Maryland. Rise up, all the way from the divided states of America. Divided snakes.
Betty Shabazz, let's give her a big shout.
Woo. King Taki, yes. Zulu, yes. Hannibal, yes. Rising up some of our freedom fighters. Nat Turner, yes. Sojourner Truth, yes. And
Harriet Tubman, we're going to bring her to the fore.
Hey, rising up their names. And Sister Maruti is watching us, unfortunately, she says, from London, UK. Yes, we got 6 foot, rise up 6 foot from Birmingham Strong. DTA Mind is saying, big up Enzinga and all the amazing work you have been and continue to do from the Decolonizing Archive.
Thank you, dear Sister Connie.
Yeah, woo. And Hanny is saying, greetings, Queens. And we've got Natural Mystic watching us from the UKKK, Concrete Jungle. Rise Up JJ saying good evening and watching from the UKKK. We've got Voodoo Productions, none other than the Voodoo man himself. Rise up. The Voodoo Dr. Abu himself. So rising up the family. Sister Afrijamo saying, Sister Shanice and Queen Nzingha, as well as my real African brothers and sisters worldwide in the chat show. She's bigging us all up and she's watching from Ghana.
Nice.
Welcome. Oh, Ghana still right now. Natural Mystic saying, greetings, family, and watching us also from the concrete jungle of the UKKK. Rise Up Sim as well in the house. Brilliant. Let's see if we've got any more names to add before we go on. Rise Up Sister Verna saying, greetings, family. That's Sister Verna from the Phenomenal Women.
We're going to big up Sister Nkechi Ode.
Hey, yes,
Brother
indeed.
Gamba.
Yes, indeed.
Brother Dougie,
yes, indeed. Sister Kechi, yes, indeed. Yeah, let's rise them up because family, you know, we have to remember the names of our dearly departed, of our loved ones. We have to tell their stories to our children so they can tell their stories to their children's children, okay? Because we are not going to let our ancestors die. Too many of them have sacrificed too much for us, so their names must continue to ring out. Rise up, LB. Kush watching us from London. Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. Yeah, Wilson.
Yeah, man, give her a big plug. In fact, we were talking about her a moment ago on the other program.
Okay, awesome. We got John Henry Clark as well. Layla, Africa, yeah.
Aisha Kamusa Barashango.
Woo! Ooh, beautiful, beautiful. Rise up, Ebony. Kojo. Yes, okay. All right. So let's go into our program for discussion today. As the family continues to come through the door, please do give us a thumbs up as you come through, family. And if you're not already a subscriber, please do subscribe. We welcome you on board. This is the platform for you, our amazing family. Today, family, we have a hero, we have a queen amongst us. You know, we have a legend. And, you know, family, there are many legends, living legends in our community. And we shouldn't wait until our beautiful, hardworking family members are not with us before we celebrate them. Yeah. So, you know, we're going to be making space available on this platform to celebrate our legends, our living legends, to celebrate some of our unsung heroes. We have our heroes, our heroines, our heroes and our sheroes in our community. They live among us and they do a phenomenal, incredible job. And today I'm delighted we have one of our very own Queen Nzingha, Assata, who has spent a lifetime on the Pan-African battlefield, family. And, you know, she's really special to us here in the UKKK because, you know, she is known for her works. And I'm hoping that, you know, as she shares our story with us today, that her story is going to uplift, it's going to inspire, it's going to motivate you, the listeners, you who are viewing, you know, to do even more than you're already doing. I know we've got some hardworking brothers and sisters out there already, and I know that there are also those who are thinking maybe, what could I take on for the new year? What can I do to enhance my skills and my abilities, and at the same time contribute towards the growth and the upliftment of my community? What could I be doing? Well, I'm hoping that you're going to be inspired by the story that our Queen is going to be sharing with us today as she walks us through her life and, you know, the energy and the achievements and that she has accomplished along the way. You know, we are indeed honored. So, before I've got so much that I could be bringing in at this point, but, you know, I really want to introduce our guest and have our guest say some words, and then, you know, we will just rock and roll. Okay. And we introduce that to rock and roll. Not a keep everything already.
And them teeth it and claim say for them.
Yeah, my freedom. Yeah, the time of we make music, singing, instruments, everything. Yes. So our beautiful Queen Nzingha Assata has spent many decades studying as well. She's got a BA honors in RGN, RHV, LPE. She's now a retired health professional. And she's also the author of a couple of books. She's the author of Women in the Garvey Movement, which also has a poster that she authored. And she's the author of In Praise of Our Ancestors. Our Queen was born in Jamaica back in 1951 and was christened Mary Estina Bedward. She came to the UK in 1959. And, you know, I suppose you could say that era when there was a lot of people from the Caribbean actually coming here to the UK to fix it up because the place did mash down. Anyway, our sis, you know, when she came in 59, was then educated here in the UK, and by marriage her name changed again to Gordon in 1998, and then she changed her name again to the name she has today, by Depot. And she's a founding member of the Alliance of African Women, a Pan-African Garveyite organizer. She's a community activist, a mother, grandmother, and currently a member of GAP UK. A committee member of Friends of the BCA in Brixton. She helps with the fundraising and membership recruitment as well there. She's the treasurer of the Friends of the local youth club in her area where she lives, and it is predominantly attended by young Africans. So Queen Nzingha has been organizing in the community since the 80s, throughout the 80s and ever since. And there's so much more I can say about our Queen, but let me at this moment in time go over to you, Queen Nzingha, and give you the opportunity to make some opening remarks.
Well, you've said a lot about me, Sister Shanice. And in fact, one of the things I'll just add at this point is that I've done quite a lot of work with Sister Shanice in 2008, 9, and 10, and 11, when she was doing the Starlight Academy at Offley Road in Kennington. We actually did quite a lot of fundraising for Haiti famine appeal and also for Zimbabwe. So we have quite a long history of working voluntarily on behalf of the community. Now, in terms of my own self, I come from a family of 8. There's 6 of us alive today. We have a massive, enormous range of grandchildren, great-grandchildren. In fact, we could make a great big football team, one pitch probably. I also have my own personal family, which will show you some of the pictures shortly. I have my daughter, Nicolette, my son, Warren. Nicolette has 2 daughters, Aisha and Keisha. Aisha is a counselor. Keisha makes natural jewelry. My son, Warren, as Rihanna, who is a trainee boxing coach and also a youth worker, and my grandson, Davarel, who is at sixth form college and also does voluntary work and also some paid work as a temporary football coach in the area that he lives. I'm very active in the community and have been for many years, most of my adult life. Sometimes I look back and I think, where did you get all that time from? I had a full-time job, raising children, paying a mortgage, etc. But we have to find time.
Yes.
Nobody else is going to come and do for us what we need to do for ourselves. So I'll leave it there and move on as Sister Shanice prompts me.
Okay. Let's quickly look over to the chat where, family, you can post questions to our Queen should you want to do so. And someone's saying, is our Queen related to Bedford from Augustown?
I really don't know. My name is the same. There probably is some connection because the name is not a widely used name. If you look in the phone book, even in Jamaica or here, you'll be lucky if you find 20 people with the name. So there probably is some legacy connection. The fact also is that my father was a preacher and coordinated many communities across this country. Where he would pick people up to take them to church, make sure they got back home by dropping them off at the end of service, so people were not at risk in this, hostile environment. So yes, I would imagine that I don't know if you know about Bedford from Augustown. He was a pastor, a spiritual activist who thought he could fly. And he persuaded a lot of people to come to Augustown on a particular morning because he was going to fly. And people were to sell everything they had and come prepared to go with him on this flight. Well, clearly it didn't take place because he clearly couldn't fly. How it ended, I really don't know. But there was a play created in Jamaica about this story.
Really? So how long ago was this?
Long time. I would say probably in the early part of the last century.
Okay. Well, so we still don't know what happened to them. I know that maybe them still a fly.
That's a possibility.
But the story lives on. Okay. Oh, wonderful. So, family, thank you all so much for logging in. We're going to be celebrating Queen Nzingha tonight. And, some of our heroes and sharers and you, our beautiful queens. And I'm sure the kings who are out there watching the show today won't mind, if we take a moment to elevate and celebrate one of our queens. And
well, isn't it time for us to big up the Black woman? Who have more to celebrate a woman than us? When you look historically at that legacy that, our women have never been frightened to step up and come join the fight. Professor Marine Shepherd in Jamaica tells us that over 200 women fought in the Morant Bay Rebellion. A number of them were hung and lashed, so we need that history out there for our young men and women to know that it's a two-partner thing. There's no one smuddy doing all the work. We are a couple moving together to advance and develop our people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me just quickly at this point just bring in one of our queens, shall I? So I'll do a little share screen here, and let's bring up Queen Ya Ashantewa. Oh, family. Queen Ya Ashantewa, born in the 1800s. And she was the queen of the Ashanti Golden Empire. So Ya Ashantewa, she led the famous war known as the War of the Golden Stool in the 1900s against the British. And she was captured and sent into exile in the Seychelles. But Ya Ashantewa, even though she died in exile, you know, during her time, she was actually formidable and phenomenal as a fighter. And Ya Ashanti's war was the last major war led by an African woman. And today, you know, she continues to be honored. She continues to be celebrated as one of Africa's greatest women. And, you know, her body was returned to Ghana, and she was given a beneficial burial. So we rise up the memory
Can
of
I just
Queen.
add one thing?
Yes, of course, my sis. Go ahead.
I want to also just tell everybody what she said when the British demanded the golden stool,
yes,
which was sacrilege to them.
Yes.
And when the men came back and reported it at the meeting, and them looking like them never want to fight, she told them that if you will not fight, then we, the women, will fight until every last one of us dies on the battlefield. Wow. So this is the caliber of warrior we are dealing with.
Yes. For real, my sis. Yes, you hear that? And that's why, you know, why the women had to step up then. Because, you know, maybe the men were just so beaten down, you know, feeling so helplessly lost at the time, you know. The women had to step up, and we're never afraid to step up. And one such woman with us today who has stepped up to the mark is Queen Nzingha. Queen Nzingha, let me allow you to flow. I am going to pull up the presentation, and then and you can just talk to and share the memories of your greatness, okay, with us, the people, and inspire, and we will be inspired as you do. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and share this one. And I'm going to pull those pull those out like that. So here's our Queen Nzingha, and my sis, roughly what age were you here?
I was 33 there, and I want to tell you about this because I'd started to go to Head Start Books and Craft at 25 West Green Road, where every Sunday they would do political education. It was called Groundings, and there was Pepper Kai, and as I said earlier, Sister Miami, and so on. And I bought that material at Head Start because I wanted to attire myself now that I'm getting conscious in my own clothes and in the clothes that befitted my legacy. And I got an African sister on the Stockwell Park estate to make it for me. And, you know, gosh, I felt like a million. In fact, a brother saw me in it at ALD because I wore it to ALD in London, and said, "Here comes Sister Enzinga, looking like $1 million." And so, yes, that dress, I'll tell you, went on to my daughter and is now in the possession of my granddaughter. So, and that just shows you the durability of that material.
Yes.
So that's definitely the legacy behind that particular outfit.
And the longevity of
my niece's wedding in 1987.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you know, us women love the style and fashions. And look at the cut on the waist of that, and you know, the way it flares out to accentuate, you know, our shape.
I just want to say here, though, also the importance, and it's not just dressing for dressing's sake. It's about claiming who you are, claiming the cultural things that belong to you, claiming the things that will emancipate you from mental slavery so that you can begin to see what's really going on around you in the world and step up to play your part in whatever way you feel able to, whether it's in African spirituality, teaching African history, organizing. I mean, we organize in my community Black film shows at our local library and also in the community center. So we can invite the whole community and wake them up to their own history and their own legacy, because that really is so important.
Absolutely agree with you, my sis. The way we dress definitely is it represents our culture and and who we are. Absolutely. When you look at the Indians, the way they dress in their saris, the Chinese, they've got their national dress, and most of us, sadly, we're losing that aspect of our culture. And so, it's part of reclaiming who we are. Big, bold step.
And being proud of it. Don't give it up for anything.
Absolutely. Definitely. So our Queen Nzingha is continuing the legacy of our great African warrior women. Sis, who do we have here?
Excellent. Just going quickly mentioning, we have a long history of African women fighting. There's Bois, who they hung her in Harare Square because she refused to collaborate with the British. We have such a history. We really need to be proud. Get out there, investigate it, and teach it to our young people and pass it on. Now, here we have my mother and father here. This is one of their pictures. They were leaving a church service there. And as I've said earlier, my father was a pastor, a very strong man. Also used to organize all of the community events, weddings, cultural events, etc. He didn't know it, but he was a bit of a Garveyite. We were not allowed to straighten our hair. We were not allowed to wear trousers, and we were not allowed to wear mini skirts and things like that. I remember when my mum used to send us to go and have our hair pressed, with the iron comb. When you come in, they do and what I throw water upon it. So that was just such a waste of her time, and we paid that money. So, and my mother was a brilliant woman, although she didn't actually realize it, and we didn't realize it until we were big. She was a dressmaker. She made bun. She made wedding cakes. Her wedding cakes, I would tell you, was some of the best cake in the world. Yeah. She was just excellent. She did all the catering for a lot of the local community weddings, and my father would be the master of ceremony and coordinate the wedding. So community activists, which is obviously, I used to have to type his letter for all his church programs when I was learning typing at school, and type it and put it in the envelope and help him in that way. And that was a great lesson for me as I grew myself into an activist. Moving on to the other side, this is my daughter, Nicolette, beautiful. Look at her nice locks. Yeah, and I'm going to give her 100% big up because she has always helped me so much with my technology issues, and honestly, a real supporter. There's me, obviously. This is a family dinner for a birthday. That's my granddaughter, Rihanna, with the white people here. My son's daughter, then my son behind her, in the middle, that's Keisha, Nicolette's daughter, and at the front we've got Davarel, who is my one grandson, and then at the back we've got my big granddaughter Aisha, right at the back there, and she's a counselor, and she does online work, and she's just been employed to do a 6-week session with the BBC. So there you go. She's also an author, following in Granny's footsteps. Yes, so that's family, and family is so important. We really have to pull together and build things together. Yes, absolutely. It's the cornerstone, isn't it, to a great nation? Yeah. Now, here we come now to my first lot of, this is when I woke up to the fact that there were serious issues affecting our people. I joined the Association of Black Social Workers and Allied Professionals. And this, what you're seeing, is the cover of a booklet where we wrote about what was happening to Black people and their children in this country. That document was submitted to the House of Commons Social Services Committee in 1983. I was a member of the fundraising group. There was 4 of us, myself, Sister Sada, Sister Valerie, and a probation officer called Sister Patricia. So we were allied professionals. The majority of the people were highly qualified social workers. And what they were seeing was that Black families were being destroyed by the way social services was operating in this country. And as I've said, this was in the late 70s, early 80s. And so we came together to demand change. And I'm just going to read you a short piece from the booklet, which was submitted to them. And you'll see if we're not still talking the same talk now. So it also needs to wake us up to the fact that very little is changing for us. And we cannot sit comfortably allowing all the gains that our people have fought for to be overshadowed and to be pushed under the carpet. Listen to this. Necessity has given birth to the Association of Black Social Workers and Allied Professionals. The members of the association believe that the experience of being Black in Britain is shaped by institutional and individual racism. We believe that institutional and individual racism permeates all aspects of services offered to the Black community by statutory and voluntary agencies alike. And we have formed this organization to facilitate the formulation and articulation of a coherent Black perspective on social policy in Britain, and to ensure the guaranteed access of this perspective to social policy making processes at a national and local level. We want to ensure that there is a Black perspective in social policy, education and training, in higher education institutions, and in all levels across this society. And basically, I mean, there's loads more. It's a booklet, so I could say more. But what I want to share is how long we have been fighting this battle. That was 1983, and very little have changed. We're almost going backwards to the fact Black children were being placed in white families all over this country, coming back totally unaware of the fact that they were Black, no connection with their family and their community. Children were bleaching their skin to try and get it white. They were scraping their skin. And this is what social workers and health visitors and other professionals in that field were witnessing. And so a massive conference was created, which took place at Friends House in Houston in January of that year, 1983. Masses of social workers and allied professionals. In fact, we had to turn people away because Friends House isn't a massive hall and so on. But out of that came the policy to recruit Black families for adoption and fostering, and the training of people who were going to look after Black children in terms of their hair and skin care, and also the management of them, their diet, making sure they were linked to their culture and their family, etc., etc. So all foster carers had to be trained. We also had in Gresham Road the new Black Family Unit that was established to recruit Black people across the country to adopt and foster Black children, etc. There was also things like policies around equipment in nurseries and in daycare facilities, etc. Black dolls, artifacts that reflected Black people, posters and images to change that makeup of the way things were being presented in this society. So for me, I think that that was a great piece of work that had a long-term consequence, and we need to, especially professionals in these fields, you need to ensure that you're aware of this work that has gone before, and don't let the gains be subsumed and taken.
Absolutely. So, the government has got no excuse. They've got that document, and, clearly it just sets out the damage that the Social Services Department was back then causing, and still continues to cause, separating Black families. And to this day, are still continuing to place our children in homes with families not of their ethnic group. And we know,
well, if you remember David
damage.
Cameron, if you remember this, David Cameron actually said that it wasn't necessary for Black people to foster and adopt Black children. Anybody could be a parent, which is against our philosophy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's this melting pot idea, but, we have to hold on to our culture. We have to hold on to our identity, our history, and who we are and what we stand for. So well done, for those works, my sis, and for the great conference at Friend's house. Isn't that the same place that Marcus Garvey used back in the day?
He did use the facility, and it's a good facility. And not only that, they're usually very open to renting it to anyone. So yeah.
We've got someone in the chat here who's saying Queen Mother Samad spoke highly of you before her transition. Can you share with us what stories inspired you most till this day about Queen Mother Samad or women in the Garvey movement?
Well, Queen Mother Samad was actually a baby in the Garvey movement. She passed away in 2018 on the same day as our warrior, Robert Mugabe. And yet she was an American, and she used to do a lot of Black Power work in Harlem and a lot of history in the schools in America. When her husband, who was Abdul, a Muslim, retired to Jamaica, she came with him, and she set up the Marcus Garvey cultural facility in her home in one side of it, and she would teach children about Marcus Garvey because her parents were lieutenants in Garvey's movement. So from birth, she was a Garveyite all her life, and she never let anybody forget it. And she spoke on, there are videos of her for the Garvey centenary. East London Black women brought her to this country, and they did a video of Garveyism, and she was part of that video. And she also taught at the Marcus Garvey Community College in Kingston. I met her at the Marcus Garvey Centenary Conference at the University of the West Indies in 1987, where I had spent all my money, because at the time it was my first time back in Jamaica since 1959. So I knew nothing, I knew no one. And we met, and she gave me a copy of Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, because I had left my copy in England. And she said to me, because I'd spent all my money on a hotel for me and my son to attend the conference, anytime you will pay that kind of money to be near Garvey and Garveyism, you deserve a copy of my book from my library. And I've got the book here. And yes, so just to show you the kind of person she was, she never let Jamaica forget who Garvey was and the power of Garvey. She always says, Garvey came and gave us a rod as a backbone instead of a wishbone. And, a brilliant elder sister. She used to organize Kwanzaa in her home and invite the whole community. She was always called upon to speak at Heroes Day about Garvey and to help lay a wreath at National Heroes Circle in Kingston around Garvey and Garveyism. So, a great warrior, a great legacy carrier. She never dropped the baton, and we mustn't drop the baton.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Hani, for asking that question. Wow, wow, wow. It's definitely a name that should live on in eternity. I hope, those who knew her well are writing about her, putting her history down so that our children's children will remember her name and her great works. Because we all remember Marcus Messiah Garvey, but we forget about the army of people who are out there keeping his name alive, you know. And had it not been, you know, for the work of all of those Garveyites who were determined to keep his name alive and his works and what he stood for and his vision and his mission and his philosophies, had it not been for the works, you know, of all of those loyal Garveyites, we probably wouldn't know as much about him.
Well, can I stop you there, just sister, to bring in here Amy Jacques Garvey, because you know, she really, Professor Tony Martin said that she deserves a substantial study in her own right, because she put her abilities at the disposal of the UNIA organization. It is through her that much of what we have about Garvey has been maintained. She put together Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, volumes 1 and 2, because as the organization's main secretary, she was always logging Garvey's speeches and presentations. So when he was arrested and locked up in the Tombs prison in Atlanta, she put it all together quickly at her own expense. Wow. And she was a very young woman. And Garvey went into prison virtually a very short time after their marriage. She put together this document, Philosophy, and circulated it around the world, because she said she wanted the world to judge Garvey on his work and not on what his enemies were saying about him. So she is a phenomenon. She was a journalist in her own right. And my book consists of a number of essays, plus a legacy of some of the other women who contributed to that great movement.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm just reminded of Queen Mother Moore, as one of the formidable women in the Garvey movement who passed on not so long ago as well. Wow, wow, wow. Okay.
And there's a sister, Beverly Hamilton, that I want to mention. To say also that in the poster Women in the Garvey Movement, and I'll put my email in the chat if anyone wants to access it. There's also copies at the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton of the book and the poster that people can buy if they'd like to do so. Yes, Queen Mother Samad in the poster, a short paragraph highlighting her work, and also a sister called Beverly Hamilton. Now, I met her when I went home in '87. I stayed for a year with my children. I took them home so that they could see for themselves, and I could see for myself, because my mother in particular thought they would kill us as soon as we got off the plane when we arrived in Jamaica. So she didn't want us to go at all, but we went anyway. And we had such a wonderful time. Anyway, Sister Beverly Hamilton, myself and her and Sister Gerlin Bean and Washington Alcott, we all used to organize Africa Liberation celebrations at Connolly Hall in Crossroads in Kingston. Every year, sometimes I would come off of the plane, drop my bag at Gerlin House and get myself to Kingston to help set up, to do poetry, to help share the food. You know, this is how we contribute, and we don't have to leave our politics where we live. We know always, you know, we go on holiday to enjoy ourselves, but we can also find out what are the activists doing in that area? How can we help to advance that work? You know, so just to share, because Beverly Hamilton, she wrote a paper to the Ministry of Education on Garvey and Garveyism that she wanted them to introduce in the schools. And she was also a member of the group that created Liberty Hall, which is the multimedia Garvey Museum at 76 King Street in Kingston.
Wow, we celebrate her as well. See the great works behind the scenes. Indeed. Absolutely amazing. And let's go over to the chat. So what's this one? Everyone in the chat, type the new African national oath. I swear loyalty to the black skin and patriotism to Africa. Rise up, icon fire. Rise up, rise up. Nelly, what was Nelly saying? Nelly was saying I was unable to like because I was watching from a WhatsApp link. I had to create an account to like and comment. Well, welcome, Nelly. We look forward to all of your comments. Thanks for taking the time to open up a YouTube account so that you can like, comment, and participate in the chat. So yes, if you're watching from a YouTube link, switch over to, from a WhatsApp link, switch over to YouTube. All you need is an email address in order to open up a YouTube account. And then you can join in the conversation, you can join the chat, you can comment, yeah, and we'd love to hear from you. Rise Up Connect, loving us all the way from Ethiopia. We love our Ethiopia brothers and sisters. We stand with you during these times, you know, and we see what Babylon do, a try do, you know, and nobody don't believe their rhetoric and their narrative. So we stand with our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia. Okay, let's see. Just pull out another one here. Regards to the memory of Queen Nzingha. Yes, the first from the Kingdom of Congo, who fought the Portuguese until she was very old. Yes, she did. I think it was 2 or 3 decades of fighting. Definitely got her on my list there as well.
And in fact, that's how I took my name,
yes.
to celebrate her work.
And this is how, you know, her name will live on. Is we name our children after these great ones, you know, their name lives on. And then when our children do the research and find out, you know, whose name they have been given and realize that they've been given a name of a great one, you know, they too will then, you know, be looking to walk in that greatness. So wonderful, wonderful. So this one's Latoya saying, or Latanity saying, fire, 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 rise up. So I think we are in a blaze of fire, or we are blaze of fire for the show here today. And Garrick is saying, white books don't give you this rich history. That is so, so true. Let me give you another little bit of history. I'm going to raise up the women here as well, because I came across a little something in a book that I was reading. It's one of Rononko Rashidi's books. And it's called Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe, yeah? And you might have seen the Black Madonna that I clicked on a little while ago there. Now, listen to this family, because, you know, there are, you know, some Christian worshippers who may not even be aware that, you know, at one time, the world worshipped us. As dark African women, Black Madonnas. Let me give you a little bit here out of Ramon Kodashidi's book. I'll just do 2 minutes. It says, he said, for thousands of years, the African woman in all her splendor was worshipped and idolized by individuals, families, and nations in Africa and around the world. You hear that? Let me come again. For thousands of years. And I mean tens of thousands of years, because this, you know, is right up to just after the turn of the century, yeah? Up to about 2,000 years ago. Well, if you go back to Venus, yeah, who precedes the Black Madonna, yeah, the images of Venus, they found some in not Crete, Malta. When they did some excavations, they found some what would you call these little ornamental things, yeah, of Venus. This is the one, this artifacts of her, thank you, Errol, and she had, you know, the big behind, you know, the Bartman shape. This is the Venus shape that represented fertility, represented creation, represented rebirth, you know. So that piece that they found was dated at something like 10,000 years ago. You'll have to look it up yourself. I've got it in a presentation somewhere, but it goes back 10,000, possibly longer. So for thousands of years, we as African women, we were worshipped and idolized by individuals, families, and nations in Africa and around the world. Ancient records show her in various guises. That's us, African women. Show us in various guises. So some you will see us as goddesses, as queens, as martyrs, as warriors, as we've been talking about today, you know, and as intellectuals, Holy Mother and Saint. The African woman has led mighty nations into battle. Rise up, Queen Cantice, yeah, Ashanti.
And Queen Pharaoh Hatshepsut.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the African woman has led mighty nations into battle and founded splendid royal dynasties, performed sacred miracles, and given birth to messiahs. Indeed, it says no other human of any racial or ethnic type has been or should be as broadly venerated as the African woman should. Rise up the memory of Rononka Rashidi.
Now I'm going to bring my poem in here now, if you let me.
Yes, touching my sis. Yes,
it's the incomparable Black woman.
Hey.
You see, I set my page ready for it, and I never even know. So you was going to bring that.
Hey.
Is there any other race of people on this planet who can expect such leadership, dedication, and strength from their women? Black people have much to thank Black women for. Black women, the strong, confident ones, the quiet, unassuming ones, the women who are always there for the race, the women who are always there, working hard, giving their all, being mother and sometimes father, being everything to our community. The Black woman, mother of creation, strong, oh so strong Black woman. What is so very sad is that many Black men fear her strength, fear her strong spirit, and fail to love, honor, and protect her. The Black woman, mother, daughter, wife, sister, aunt, grandmother, Black woman, mother of all creation, Black woman, the original guardian angel. And that's from my book, Women in the Garvey Movement.
Wow, beautiful. The original guardian angel, indeed. That Ma'at comes to mind. Remember, family, the original, the first angel that you saw anywhere, dates back tens of thousands of years. And that is, the black angel with the wings of Ma'at, the protector. Ah, beautiful. And let's see what they're saying in the chat here. Orbia man, rise up, Orbia man. It must say, it is reported that even though the Pope is forcing a white Jesus on us, he kisses a black image in secret.
I've heard that myself.
That's right. Because even in the same book here, the reason being is because, our color, our complexion represented power. Let me just read a little bit more here. And this is, and then we're going straight back to our queen. So it says here that all the Black Madonnas are powerful images. They are miracle workers. They are implored for intercession in the various problems of fertility. Pilgrimages covering hundreds of kilometers are made to these specific shrines. The degree of adoration or fervor far exceeds that attached to other representations of the Virgin. For example, until the last decade, when the practice was explicitly forbidden by church authorities, pilgrims journeying to the shrine of Mount Virgin would climb the steps of the church on their knees, licking each step with their tongue. We are thus equating the blackness of the images with their power. The attitude of the pilgrim approaches not reverence, but worship. That was by Latriel. Wow. And this is according to Leonard W. Moss and Stephen C. Kapapanari.
I hear you. I'm going to tell you two stories connected to that. My daughter at 11 was a member of the Woodcraft folk. Now, the Woodcraft folk is a kind of, British people say them as communists, but they believe in equality and they do a lot of service with young people in the community. So anyway, my son and daughter were attending and there was a trip to Poland. So I booked for her to go and I had her hair plaited with beads, red, white and blue beads. Now, I didn't know it had anything to do with Poland. We just liked the beads. Mm-hmm. When she was there, they virtually worshipped her and they brought money for her. She can tell you this for herself anytime you meet her. They bought money for her. They bought food for her. They literally venerated her. And the leaders told me this when they came back. Another time when I was a nurse manager in Railton Road in Brixton, one of our workers, there was a disabled lady and they couldn't lift her any longer. So they wanted to use the hoist. The husband was refusing. So I went to try and see if I could sort it out. He was an opera singer. When I walked into his house, he had a massive, massive Black Madonna and child as I come in the door facing me. So I asked him, and he said just what you said, that this is what used to be worshipped. So it's not just book no, they know.
Yes.
Yeah, they know.
And this is what they don't want us to know as well. And even in France until today, there are still hundreds of Black Madonnas that are worshipped secretly in Spain, Italy, and various other parts of Europe. So, you know, they haven't totally wiped out all of the Black Madonnas, but, you know, they definitely hiding those that are left.
Indeed.
Behind. Yes.
Indeed.
And I remember when we went to, where's the Stonehenge. Thank you, Errol. Stonehenge, near there. They've got a shrine as well with a Black Madonna. Yeah, and child. There are many of them all over Europe, Black Madonna. So that's your research for you today, family. Get on Google Black Madonna, and there are literally hundreds of them still in cathedrals and churches and shrines up and down the land. Remember, these Black Madonnas is what was worshipped prior to them whitewashing it and calling it Mary and Jesus. Okay, so prior to Mary and Jesus was the Black Madonna.
And we also had Osir and Oset, remember?
That goes all the way back. That's the original Trinity. Osir, Aset, and Heru got all the way back to the days of the pharaohs, our ancient pharaoh monarchies. So anyway, we are digressing because, you know, but it's
get back to the story. What's our next picture?
Okay, the next picture is the centenary. What's this one about?
Yeah, so that's the Marcus Garvey centenary. Now, that was in 1987. I was a member of the centenary committee. I was the treasurer and the fundraising coordinator, and that meant a lot of time spent organizing a fundraising event. In fact, at the bottom there is a raffle that I organized using my own money. You know, I'm a person, I don't wait for nobody for my money. I go to my bank and get my money. And anything I organize in the community, I've paid for it myself. Wow. Because usually a small donation from people will recruit what you've spent. And if it don't, you're not dead. So these are some of the things that we have to begin to take on. Just because you don't get a grant don't mean you can't do nothing. That's all I would say. So this raffle was organized as a fundraiser for the Centenary Committee. Now, there's also Brother Pepperkai, who was a member of the Centenary Committee. We created, and I've got my plate here in my house. You want me to show you?
Go ahead. Hey.
So that's my centenary plate. I don't know if you can get it close up. That's my centenary plate.
You'd have to share screen your end.
No, share screen as well. So
I know what I can do. Hang on, sorry, just a moment. I think, let's see. If I stop sharing screen for a moment. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
There you go. So this is the Marcus Garvey centenary plate, 1887 to 1987. Thank you, Sister Shanice. That was very helpful.
That's okay.
One of these days, I'll be able to do all of this. Yeah, and there was also mugs and T-shirts of the same nature. And we had, you've got some pictures there of us on a march. Let's see if we can find it. Yeah, this one here. If you bring that one up now, that was also a part of the centenary committee. So up here, you've got me, Imelda Inyang. There was just 2 women on the Centenary Committee because everybody was saying who should go on the committee, but them now volunteer. So in the end, it was who was willing. So there was myself. Where's it gone?
Sorry.
Excellent. Yeah. Imelda Inyang, she was an MP in, she was a councillor in Lambeth, a lawyer, and a really serious activist for our community. This brother, I can't remember his name, but he took charge of the cultural committee. That's Marcus Garvey Jr., Marcus Garvey's son there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The third person. That's him. Yes, he passed. He passed earlier this year, but we did a lot of work with him. He also was the main speaker at the launch of the Marcus Garvey Library in Tottenham, which they've now managed to more or less take away most of it. And then next to him is Brother Pepekai. Then there's me. And then there is, Brother Coker. He used to do all the libation. He was from South Africa, and he used to do the libation and other spiritual matters. This was the march. We had a conference. This is the conference in Manchester that we organised to promote. That was over 3 days to identify all of the work of Garvey and the legacy. And that was where I actually learned that there were women in the Garvey movement, 1987, because mostly you only hear about Marcus Garvey. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but the truth is the Garvey organization had a membership of over 6 million people all over the world. Half of them were women. And so, as I say, that's where I learned that there were women in the Garvey movement. And this is the conference in Manchester. Unfortunately, there was a massive bust up with the video people, and we never got any copies of the video. So I don't know where they are, but I've got my photographs. I've got quite a lot in the archives. This is Elder Berry. He's passed now. He was the coordinator of the community centre in Manchester where we had the conference, and a very, very serious activist in our community. Now, this is me, and this is Sister Asha. Sister Asha is one of the women from the Pan-African Congress movement. Now, anybody who has been to ALD from way back when will know, Sister Asha does all of the catering for ALD alongside of her team of women. And she has done that faithfully for our community from the 80s up till now.
Wow.
You know, I really want us to honor these women. This is voluntary work. This isn't paid work that people are doing. People give up their time. And often I find some people in our community don't appreciate how much dedication it takes to put aside, you're raising your family, you're having to work, and you're still having to find time to go to a meeting, organize things, etc. Now, at this, we're at the Marcus Garvey Library, and I'm doing a presentation having researched women in the Garvey movement. So that is a presentation about women in the Garvey movement. If you just bring that down for me, Sister Shanice, we'll see the march. That was a demonstration through Manchester town to celebrate the centenary of Marcus Garvey. And you can see me waving my red, black and green Garvey flag. There you go.
Did you do that?
Yes, I mean that.
Go on, sis. All right, nice one.
I mean, we traveled all over the place at our own expenses because the meetings were in Leicester, Birmingham, Manchester, Wolverhampton, you know, and you did it because you want better for your people and you want to see us rise and become a free and self-determining people.
And that's what it takes, action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Action.
Getting up and getting out
vision
there.
of self, as Garvey would say.
Yes, yes.
So that's my book, Women in the Garvey Movement. And in that book, there's a number of essays by Amy Jacques Garvey. And, you know, those essays, although they were written, most of them over 100 years ago, if you read them and come today, you'll see that So little has changed. It looks like woolly change. But then when you read this work, even some of Garvey's philosophy and Amy Ashwood, I mean, she was a real gem, did a lot of work in this country on behalf of our people. And, these things our children need to know. This is their legacy. And we mustn't drop the baton. We must ensure this information is shared and passed on. There's such a lot of information also in the archives in Brixton. And I just want to mention that specifically because so many people, you ask them about what are you talking about? They don't even know it's there. And I think that's something people should rectify and put on their agenda. Len Garrison and others, because it wasn't just Len, but Len was the main backbone of ensuring that the archives came to fruition. They've been going 40 years this year was their centenary, exactly. And this is a great work. I really would encourage people to become members. I'm a gold member, and as soon as they start back again, I will be contributing my contribution. And nobody don't have to come and draw you out of your house to go and, contribute. You can sign up online and do that and go and visit, take your children there. They need to know it's there and that it belongs to them and that it is their responsibility to ensure its longevity. So, I just want to share that.
Absolutely. And, we invite visitors from abroad as well. When you come to London, check out the Black Archives in Brixton. Come out of Brixton's tube station, turn left, keep walking, you'll come to it on your left-hand side.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so check it out. I mean, sis, you've got works in the archive.
I've got 7 boxes there of political work. I mean, one of the big things that's there from me is the Universal African Peoples Development Association. In 1995-96, myself and a group of other people formed the Universal African Peoples Development Association, with the aim to bring back to life, not Garvey's work then, because for me, we have to move on and we have to apply Garveyism to our contemporary situation and use all of the strategies and, amend them to suit our current situation in the world. We did a re-education program at the Albrighton Community Centre. I'll just give you a couple of titles of what we did. So the first one was, what does the African community need re-educating about? So that was the first one. Then we looked at Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz, their life and work and its relevance to us today. We did nutrition because, you are what you eat. And so as a people, we need to be very careful what we're eating. 2 years ago at ALD, I can remember Brother Tayo, the leader of the Osera Set Society UK, doing a presentation. And what he was saying was this: people go to the doctor, their doctor tells them that they've got diabetes or they've got hypertension and he tells them, stop eating this, don't take the condensed milk, you cut back your bun and cheese and blah, blah. And the next thing they're going to tell you, but me like it. So he said, you like it more than gangrene developing in your leg and you losing your leg? No, we have to follow a nutritious and healthy diet so that we have immunity and, our body is strong to resist, especially this COVID, so... Yeah. These are some of the things. The other things we looked at, the global debt trap and Black people, because, we are in debt as a nation, yet we never borrow nothing from nobody. These are some of the things that we covered. Women are the backbone of the nation. We did a centenary celebration for the 2 Garvey women. We did an In Praise of African Women conference in September 1995. At a youth centre in Balham. That was a brilliant conference, very well attended. And we had 3 elders looking at how they survived in this country from the time they came here until the time we had the conference. And we also had Sister Miami from the PACM speaking about the historical legacy of women as warriors. That was 1995. And we had a brother called Trevor Gordon, who was a teacher, speaking about the exclusions of our children from school. And that has gotten worse, not better.
That's right.
You know, the thing is, we have to be visionaries and we have to keep an eye on the ball,
Yes,
and do the work that's going to inform and educate our people and get them on board.
Great works, great conference. We need more of those conferences. And yeah, we need to continue educating, re-educating our people. Let's go over to the chat. Let's see what comments we've got in there going on. Orbiaman, you're here, Afrijamo. Are you eat? That means me a dumpling. I don't know. They might have a private conversation about
no, you can have a dumpling. You see this book here, What's in My Kitchen? That was produced by myself and Sarah Jean Marie, a dietitian who emanates her family from St. Lucia, and Patricia Gillard, who is the diabetic liaison health visitor. Now you can see that was my slave name, Mary Gordon, which is now Enzinga, Assata. And Assata, just for information, is from Assata Shakur, the Black Panther, who they arrested and charged, frame up with some murder charges. Unfortunately, she escaped and is in exile in Cuba. So, but anyway, coming back to the book, this book was created to help people of the Caribbean and Africa manage their portion sizes, because people don't really want to give up the food that they're used to eating. But you can lessen the amount. You know, it's not a case of me not eat it at all. Let's have smaller amount, because there's a lot of carbs in a lot of the food. So, you know, you might have just a piece of yam today and one dumpling. Do you know? So that's what that book is about.
Instead of 2 pieces of yam and 2 dumpling and banana.
And 2 banana and 3 pieces of plantain.
Yeah.
You know,
so let's scroll up. What have we got? Oh, Brother Iconic is saying, "You're still beautiful, Empress." Yes, you are indeed.
So that was 1991 that was produced, just to say that.
Okay, wow. And it's still as relevant today as it was back then.
Absolutely.
Let's see what Hanny is saying. Elder Enzinga, I have a Garvey centenary bust in 1987, awarded to myself from Queen Mother after studying with her at her school in Kingston.
My children went to that school, the Marcus Garvey Community College.
Oh.
You remember Brother Nkuma, the principal?
Okay, wonderful. Let's see what Mel essentially is saying. She said, "That's right, Elder. Activism is not about fame. It's a lot of dedication, sacrifice, and hard work." Indeed. Yes, it is indeed.
We know.
Mel is talking like someone who knows.
And no tanks. Don't look for no tanks.
Don't look for this. For real, for real. If anything, expect to be torn down in the process, but we won't go there. Sister V's made a few comments in the chat. Let's pull out one of them. This one says, Grand Rising, do you think Garveyism is appealing to the younger generation and have something to learn from his legacy? And should a woman take his message into the 21st century? Will it change anything? Oh, some big questions there.
The truth is that Garveyism is an ideology, a philosophy, and a liberty. You see, for me, it's not about going back to 1914 when Garvey started the UNIA in Jamaica and then moved on to America a few years later. It's about taking what you think is relevant to contemporary times and using it to Garvey wanted us to be self-reliant. Nothing has changed about that. Garvey wanted us to be independent and self-reliant and serving our own interests by putting race first. That has not changed. And because we're not doing it, everybody advancing leave we behind and we still are complaining. So those are the things. You also have Garvey wanted us to work towards nation building, which means us working together to advance an agenda that takes us forward as a people. That's not happening. You know, people are self-serving across the continent of Africa. The leadership, a lot of them are not looking out for their people. They're selling out to all sorts of people who don't have our interest at heart. With, you know, sometimes you have to wonder, they don't sit down and look and see, so them people hungry, them not getting the proper education, them not have access to good hospital treatment, etc., etc. They don't see that. If we can see that all the way over here and we're not there on the ground, what is wrong with them? So this is how you use Garvey's legacy. And in fact, Garvey's legacy is no different to the legacy that we have here today. It's about hard work. It's about building structures. Now, Garvey's organization, they built their own businesses. They employed masses of Africans. All of the uniforms that all the different groups wore, the Black Cross nurses, the African Motor Corps, the female military wing, all of them, the uniforms were made by Garveyite women and men. And so that created employment for the people. They had a youth wing. Look, they had, you name it. The Black Cross nurses provided a social care system for our people all over America. When they used to march, the Garvey marches was about 10 miles long across Harlem and other parts of America. So, you know, you are looking at a system to advance us and to develop us. And if there's anything in it that we can use, we need to be using it. And we, you know, our children, every one of them should know about the Garvey legacy. They should also know about the Haitian legacy, how the Haitians beat up the British, the French, and the Spanish. You know, they need to know these things. We're a powerful people. We have fought for our right to be on this planet when nobody didn't give nobody our rights. And we have a responsibility to ensure that the generation coming up are prepared for what is going to come, because, you know, we're going to be in a very serious world in the future to come.
We hear you on that, Queen Nzingha. We hear you. Rise up, our sis. Let's go over to the chat, see what we've got here. Afrijamo is saying, our people have Madonnas who look like us Africans in churches in Benin. Look at that. I wonder how far back that goes. You see, this is a history right there.
Absolutely.
Sis, please do take some photographs and send them on. We have to get images, copies of those. And we know that they had the Black Madonnas all over Ethiopia as well.
I have one in my house.
Look at that. They come from the heart of Africa. We took, you know, that story, you know, of the African woman, you know, being the goddess, being the woman of fertility, you know, the human representation of nature, the ones who brings forth, you know, who replenishes the earth, who births, you know, and brings new life into the world. You can see why, you know, we were venerated back then. So, yeah, let's scroll back. Let's see what, yeah, please do remember to give us some thumbs up. Yeah, give us those likes, family. Thank you, Sister Afrijamo. And let's whiz up. Let's see what we've got here. Orbiaman, connecting in from Africa. Keep the fire burning. So Orbiaman is saying, bless up at Connect Africa. Keep the fire burning. Rise up, Connect Africa as well. DJ Iconic, what's he saying here? Said, everyone in the chat, type the new African national oath. I swear loyalty to the black skin and patriotism to Africa. Yes, patriotism to Africa. Indeed, and I swear an oath to this melanin skin. Hey, I love the skin that I'm in. Hey,
I've got a poem about that.
Sorry, coming. Rise up, happy companion. Good to know you're in the house. Rise up, rise up, rise up. Happy companion doing some great works out there in the Gambia. Rise up yourself. So, right, let's go back to the presentation, shall we now, Mercy?
Definitely.
We've got quite a few more to go, and time is whizzing by.
Nice.
So, what's this one about?
Now, there's two of those. There's a young girl here and a young boy. Now, when I was in Jamaica, you see, anywhere I go to do some work and some teaching. So this is when I was living in Jamaica. I organized cultural exhibitions at the Spanish Town Parish, St. Catherine Parish Library, Spanish Town, and we would invite the whole community. It usually was for Heritage Week or Black History, which is in February in Jamaica. And I have a massive collection of books, posters, calendars, blah, blah, blah. And so I would invite the young people, and the teachers would bring them from the school, and the community could come as well. And we would talk to them about the history, all the posters, you can see the Black images, and they could look at the books and learn about their own history. And so they're just signing the book. These two are reading to say what their historical legacies. Because the library in Jamaica, let me tell you now, the few Black book where was in there is when we can't go get them. There was virtually at that time, because we're looking at 88. Things have changed quite a bit since then. Things have changed quite a bit in terms of you're now able to see in like Sangster's bookstore in Kingston. You'll see. I mean, they took quite a large number of my book, Women in the Garvey Movement, and also you were able then to see books by about Malcolm X. Whereas when the one where did ban Walter Rodney, Hugh Shearer, he banned books on Black literature and anything Black was banned. This is a Black man, and so
on the outside.
Absolutely, exactly.
Brainwash, whitewash.
That's what he did, and so there was very little in Jamaica that you go into the shops, a white dolly in the shop, White People magazine in most of the shops, and so on. But as I say, there is a bigger push now towards books that reflect themselves in there. So this was at St. Catherine Parish Library, with children coming in to read the books, look at the images, and learn a bit about their history. And that I do again from my own pocket. Wow. I don't sit and wait on anybody to give me 2 shillings. Get on with it.
And you know what? I've found as well throughout my years of voluntary work and giving, you can't outgive the universe.
Absolutely.
The more you give, the more comes back to you.
And this is what people don't understand.
Yes.
You give, and the universe sees it.
Gives back, and gives back to you another way.
Absolutely.
For real family, you can't outgive the universe. So, sometimes just give of your time, give of your energy, give of your money, give of your words of encouragement. Just find a way to give and ways to give,
Well, whilst we're on giving, Sister Shanice, I want to just bring up now, because I'm a paid up member of the African Cooperative Union. I have shares in it, and I pay my membership fee annually. I'm also I'm an investor in the Essential Farm projects that's just been brought in by young brother Adissa and so on. I have 2 shares in Garveytown in Ghana with brother Kwaku and Garandina and the likes. And I'm a paid up member of the Global African Congress. And as I've said, I pay my gold fee to the Black Cultural Archives, and as soon as it's open, I'll be paying again. And all I'm saying that to say, and I'm not saying that to say, oh Lord, Sister Enzinga, so great and big. No, we have a duty to support the things that come in our community. If we want independence and growth, poor brother Akram has been trying so hard to get the ACU, the co-op, going. The shares are not expensive. You buy what you can afford to buy. And I just want to encourage people. It has been reinvigorated. We've got a new management committee. And just to encourage people, to come on board on Sunday at the Global African Congress, we're going to have the chairman, Taj, speaking. and doing a presentation. So if anyone wants that link, I'm sure Sister Shanice or myself can forward it to you, and just encouraging people, let's come on board. We can become powerful by pooling our resources and supporting the things in our community that are for our growth and development.
Yes, indeed. Let me get myself back on. Okay, I've got a question from the chat. They're loving the Garvey stories. And someone was asking, do you have a biography? You know, have you done your autobiography? You have so many wonderful stories.
I'm working on it. I've done, my granddaughter, Aisha, asked me to write something for her, because one day she said to me, but Nan, you've had two lives, but you're just one person. So I have written two lives, one person, because obviously a lot of people don't know that well, it's not that they don't know that I had a slave name, but they don't know me now. You know, all the people who knew me with that name, I out of my life. So everybody now who meets me will think this is how I always was, but it's not. I paid nearly £100 to change my names by deed poll. So every single document of mine is in my name, Enzinga, Assata, except for my birth certificate, which obviously you can't change your birth certificate, but my passport, driver's license, everything. So somebody from my past, they always call me by my slave name, and then I have to explain that, no, I gave that up long ago.
So we're waiting for your autobiography. Many, many wonderful stories of your
activism. I'll try my best.
Be in that.
You see me too busy.
You have to find time. You have to find time. Inspire the next generation. Look, now we're still reading the works of Mary Prince and Oluwadu Equiano and others, and they wrote 200 years ago also. And so, you know, there's a story in all of us. To everyone in the chat, just, you know, dropping it here. You know, all of us have stories to tell, and indeed, you know, we need to capture those stories. We need to put them in books. And when we write, we need to write with our future in mind. You know, those who will be reading our stories in 200 years' time, because in 200 years' time, they're going to want to know, I wonder what it's like in the 2020s, you know, for the Africans who were living in the UK. Were there any Africans living, you know, in the UK at that time? And if they were living there, what was their life like? You know,
it might be us living here by then, because we, you know, remember, our genes is dominant, so they might be on the way there.
Yes, that's right. So the story might be about them who gone. But you know what? So all them are gone, them are take we with them. Them are try to take we out like the Indian them and the Aborigine and all the rest of them.
Them can't get rid of we, my love. Them been trying from them meet we.
Yes, yes, oh yes. I tell you, and if our forefathers, if our heroes and sheroes didn't fight, you know, I tell you, imagine we've been fighting, you know, for thousands of years, and the fight still continues. It's just that the fight has gone undercover now, hasn't it? You know, and a lot of us have probably fooled into thinking.
But in fact, that is not a bad idea, though, Sister Shanice, because I know everything, as my mother used to say, I know everything good for talk. Some of our strategies we should be sharing only amongst ourselves in our quiet little meeting. You know, so that nobody knows our plan, not even some of we, because if you remember, during the enslavement revolts, when people would have go sell out the people.
Yes. And promise them freedom if them can, you know, disclose any plans, you know, any mutinies and the sort. Yes, and today them promise them a pay rise if they come and infiltrate and undermine.
Or one little job somewhere.
Little promotion. Yes, my dear.
You want me to take that question?
Yes, go ahead. It says, can Queen Nzingha explain the beef between Garvey and W.E. Du Bois?
In simple terms. Yeah. The beef, there was no beef between Garvey and Du Bois. Du Bois had a beef with Garvey. Garvey became very powerful very quickly because the Garvey set up the organization during and not long after them First World War finished, because them did fight each other. And Garvey set up the UNIA with a view to giving us independence, self-reliance, and building our own businesses and blah, blah, being totally independent. Garvey's success, Du Bois and others like them who thought that we couldn't do anything for ourselves, there was that bad mind and jealousy, and they launched a Garvey Must Go program. W.B. Du Bois, H. Philip Randall, and a whole heap of others launched this against Garvey. If you read the book Garvey and Garveyism by Amy Jacques Garvey, Garvey's second wife, she has in there some of the letters that were written to the US government to get Garvey out of the US. What was Garvey doing except trying to build up his people and make them self-reliant and independent? I don't know. You must also know that Du Bois did apologize when he came to realize that he can't change white America. We have to do for ourselves. And he said he was sorry. Garvey was right. And he relocated himself to Ghana, where he died. And he has, they have a cultural center named after him, W.B. Du Bois. The other thing to say to everybody is, all of this information up online, no go and go read. And Professor Tony Martin has written about 8 to 9 books on Garvey. They're all available. Also, you've got books by Rupert Lewis on Garvey. You've got my book, Women in the Garvey Movement, about the women. There's a book called Set the World on Fire by a sister called Keisha N. Blaine. And she highlights all of the Garvey legacy after Garvey was deported back to Jamaica, the nationalist women who stood up to continue that work, there's just so much history. If you put in Garvey or the UNIA in your search engine, I tell you, you'll be reading forever.
Rise up to all of those that are doing the works, to keep the name and the legacy alive. You got another question here, my sis. What are the main lessons that your children took away from their year in Jamaica?
Well, one of the first things they learned was that people in Jamaica not play a game. So we had our Monopoly and our Boggle and our Upwards and our, Uno, everything. So the children used to come over to our house to come and learn these games. And also, we lived a very free kind of life, and we shared what we had with the young people in the community. If we had sweets or biscuits or whatever, we shared it. Oftentimes some of the families were very poor. They didn't have nothing to share. So it was also nice for them to get those little treats that they might not otherwise have had. Because I'll be honest, I was quite well resourced because I sold my house to facilitate that trip to Jamaica. And we rented a 3-bedroom house, me and my 2 children. And we lived, I would say, relatively well. We lived in a place called Meadowvale, just behind Caymaner's Garden racetrack. And we just had such a wonderful time. Them time there, Jamaica, I don't know what happened to Jamaica. We used to go up on the Suzette bus, and it would take us to Kingston. We were all about till all hours of the night. The bus bring us home and drop us off. And nobody wasn't troubling nobody. So, things have really deteriorated. And it is very sad because I know so many people who want to go back home to Jamaica. Now, my children, they didn't want to go to Jamaica and then didn't want to come back from Jamaica. We went to stage show. We go and see Major Mackerel. Sophia George. We sit down there the whole night till morning and then we go home.
Did you bring your reggae bed? Did you bring your reggae bed? Your reggae
no,
bed?
No, we just sit down in our chair and we get up and dance till morning.
You have the chair.
Sophia George, her music, you can't sit down when she sings. And it was the time of a lot of those new DJs. Major Macro with him, Little Squeak, and it was just brilliant. Really, really wonderful being in Jamaica.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. We want to rise up Sister Zemora as well, who's been enjoying herself in Africa, in the Gambia. Her first visit to Mama Africa. She's been having an amazing time. I introduced her to the head teacher of the Galaxy Academy School, where she delivered a wonderful whole day event. And the parents were there, the young people were there, learning about our history. She was sharing loads of gifts for the children. So, family, if you are visiting the Gambia, if you're visiting Africa, while you're there, why not do as Sister Zamora did and dedicate, at least 1 or 2 days out of your holiday to deliver a presentation and to share, some of the information that you've learned from Google, even because, it's much cheaper for us to spend all day, every day on Google researching our history than it is for our brothers and sisters on the continent. So, yeah, do that. So let's see this one that's just jumped up. It says, rise up all the time, Queen Nzingha. Give thanks for your tireless work in our community over the years. More strength to you, warrior queen always. That's from Ubuntu.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's bring in another
Absolutely brilliant. Now, this is Queen Mother Samad and her husband Abdul.
Is this her in the middle? These two?
Yeah, this is Queen Mother Samad, and that's her husband Abdul. And this is Brother Nkrumah, who was the principal of the Marcus Garvey Community College that the sister said she attended. This looks like a school photo. Now, what is important about this photo? I don't know if you can bring the top down at all. Right. So this is a letter she sent me that I wrote that was featured in the Gleaner in 1996, I think it was. 1990. What had happened? A young woman was in Coronation Market in Kingston, and she was told by the soldiers to go away, and she wouldn't go away. And she was just there, according to him, stabbing after him with a knife, and he shot her and killed her. I was incensed. So I wrote this letter to say that I thought it was an outrage, because as a soldier trained in armed and unarmed combat, it wouldn't have been nothing for him to disarm this young woman. There was absolutely no reason for him to kill her, and he should be prosecuted. So Sister Samad copied it out of the newspaper and sent it to me with the that photograph of her gathering. And so this is also another part of my legacy. I have a massive cardboard box of letters in the Black Cultural Archives in Brixton. And in fact, I'll share with you, let me see, from the Alarm magazine in 1998, just a little bit about when I was leaving to go home to Jamaica a second time in 98. And they say, Black press as a platform for raising issues of importance to our community and to Sister Enzinga is perhaps best known for her letter writing campaign. Over the years, she has used the letters page of the Black press as a platform for raising issues of importance to our community and to lambast our enemies. Enzinga has organized several cultural events, and was also a major contributor to the victorious outcome of the Slave Babies campaign in London against the play called Slave Babies. And then it goes on to talk about me reproducing my book. And so I'm just using that to show you can use whatever tool is at your disposal to challenge the wrong things that are happening. Not always just about us. I mean, my challenge is mostly about us, but I also challenge anything that I see that is wrong. So, for example, a couple of years ago, I was at a bus stop in Peckham, and there was some young white boys in their school uniform, and they'd forgotten their pass. Now, remember, we're also in a time when people have been stabbed and all sorts of things are happening to young people. And the bus driver could see that they were in school uniform, turn them away. So I took down his bus number and his code number for his bus, and I wrote to Transport for London to complain because I didn't think it was okay for him to turn away school children. So as part of us being community coordinators and taking responsibility for what goes on in our world, I'm not saying everybody must do it, but I think it's important for us to be part of society, part of changing society, part of, what would I say, influencing policy and anything that we can influence to make a better world for everyone.
Absolutely agree with you on that, my sis. And, that's another example of what, our brothers and sisters could get engaged in, because we need to letter write more. I mean, how many of us watch the television and see something on it that we don't like? But what do we do about it? Are we writing, to the relevant departments and making our complaints? If we're not, that's something we could do. And what about some of the policies that are detrimental to us and operate against us and not in our interest? How many of us actually participate in our local council meetings,
Exactly.
It's just to turn up sometimes, because if we're not there, then you will know what am I do and what am I plan behind our back. So we have to do there.
I'm going to give you, Sister Shanice, a really good outcome of a letter writing. In 1998, when I went home to live for 5 years and worked at the Ministry of Health in Kingston. Anyway, on this particular night on the news, the jurors were complaining that they were getting, this is 1998, call it 99 by the time I'd settled in. They were getting $5 to do jury service, $5 a day. Now, at that time, you're lucky if you could get 5-minute ball for $5. So, people, especially if you don't have extra money, you have to pay your fare to the court, stay in the court the whole day, pay your fare back home, and it's not cheap.
No, so, and you're not supposed to eat too.
Well, exactly. So anyway, I wrote to KD Knight, the Minister of National Security and Justice, and I also copied it to the Observer and the Gleaner to say this is outrageous. And I think that they really needed to do something about it so that people, when they're giving community service, can have a little refreshment and can afford to go and come at ease. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, I got a letter back from him to say he hoped I had noticed, and I had noticed because it was announced on the news, that it had been raised to $500.
Wow.
And I have my letter in the archives from him.
Yeah.
He hoped I had noticed, and I was glad he took the trouble to write back that they had increased it, but he also wanted me to know that people take great pleasure in giving service to the community, whether they're remunerated or not. But the point is, don't exploit people.
That's right.
You have your big salary and your big MP wages and all the extras where you get. Why should you expect somebody to be leaving them yard every day to go sit down all day in a courtroom, the hot, you want a drink, And so anyway, so I just wanted to use that to show people you can have impact.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And you know what you also did there for us, my sis, for those of us who might say, oh, I want to write and complain, but sometimes I never know what to write. You just identified what the problems were. This was a problem, the little bit of money that they was getting and why it was insufficient and, why they deserve more. You got all of that. Then you wrote to say it is outrageous, and I totally disagree that this and that, and then so there's your formula, family, for writing letters of complaint. You just shared that with us right there, and I just picked that up. So just throwing that out there. That's a good technique. So hold on to that one, family. We've got over 100 people in here, so
nice. Hi, 100 people. Nice to see you.
And a lot more will be watching on playback. But hopefully you all got that formula now for letter writing that our warrior queen has been using very successfully for decades. Rise up, sis. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Should we go on to the next
Definitely, because in fact, you can see the time running away fast.
Yes, time running past. I don't know where it's going so quick. Okay, let me try and do this. Okay, why are you not giving me a next slide? Right. Here we go. Oh, I think I need to shrink it back again first. Okay. All right. So let me just add back the presentation. Was there anything else on here before I move it on?
No, these are just some family pictures there. Nice, enjoying ourselves.
Oh, lovely. Okay, let's try and get to the next one.
Now,
Here we go.
This is Elmina Castle in Ghana, and that's me outside the male enslavement dungeon, very upset. And this group, this sister was very kind to take me to Elmina because I don't know her, but she was a friend of the people I was staying with, and she gave up her day to take me with a group of friends that she was going with, and I really appreciated that. And you can imagine the trauma of seeing all of the chains, and I've got loads of pictures of the enslavement dungeons and the chains, and there was hardly height to stand up. And then outside, up on the fort, they've got all these big cannons where they used to protect their criminal activity and so on. So that was quite a traumatic. But I did love being in Ghana. I was there for 4 weeks. I went to Okosombo Dam, which is the dam that they used to produce a lot of the electricity. I went to Tokadi, which is the trading part of Ghana. I went to Kumasi. And in Kumasi, at the zoo in Kumasi, I saw patu, which we have patu in Jamaica, and blue draws, which is dekono. We have that, and they were making it in the market and selling it. I was telling them about the things that some of the retentions that people have still, because Professor Rex Netherford, who was one of the chancellors at the University of the West Indies and the creator of the Jamaica National Dance Company, he wrote quite a lot of work around African retentions in Jamaica specifically, but I should imagine it's across the whole Caribbean and parts of South America as well, where our people are. So that was,
I just want
to day actually, but very
I just want to comment briefly on these tourism sites that tend to revolve around our enslavement, and a lot of these sites, these colonial sites, are kind of revered, and were so prior to our independence, and we have inherited a lot of their these colonial sites, which I think is like a shrine for them, a shrine of remembrance of how they had us under their foot, how they had their foot on our necks, how they had us. And they go to these sites and they bring their children to these sites as a reminder, that they were the ones who conquered us as a people. Because remember, they know our history better than we do. They know the great heights from which we have fallen. They know that we were the kings and queens, the lords, the sirs, the popes, the generals. They know the great heights from which, we have fallen, where they met us, how they revered us. We talked earlier about the Black Madonnas and how they revered, the African woman for her darkness, for her complexion, and how they saw us as the ones who, if they kissed our feet, they would get a miracle. Yeah, so they know our history. And a lot of our history has been whitewashed and hidden from us. And what they have very conveniently left, are all of these sorts of places, which, when we go, leaves us feeling traumatized. It doesn't leave us feeling victorious. It doesn't leave us feeling courageous and great. It leaves us feeling, as though we have, a dreadful history and that there's no coming back from where we were, and look at what our ancestors went through. But when you look at our history in terms of, you know, the tens of thousands of years or even the million of years that we've been on this earth, those couple of hundred years is but a speck in the ocean of our existence on this planet. Yet the magnifying glass tends to be on that period of our enslavement for a reason. And so I just want to counter that, because I'm sure in this presentation I've got some of our great ones here. Let's see if I can.
But it's also, Sister Shanice, for us to put that in its place, because that's just a minor part of our story.
Absolutely. So right now I just want to rise up Queen Amina, and she was a warrior. Now, where is her shrine? Where do we go to read the story of Queen Amina, for example? You know, this is what I'm saying. When we start thinking for ourselves, and we start putting up our own tourist spots and our own particular sites and stories to remember our great ones, we will have places where we would have Queen Amina, for example, and we will hear about how she was a Hausa warrior woman in the city-state of Zazazu, presently in the northwest region of Nigeria. We will learn of her leadership skills. We will learn about her father and her grandfathers, you know, who allowed her to attend state meetings, and how she became knowledgeable, you know, and that would be an inspiration to the parents in the upbringing of their children and their grandchildren. And we will learn about how she was remembered in history. And there will be a site for her, a memorial. There will also be, you know, somewhere where, you know, our beautiful Queen Nzingha of Ndongo and Matamba, you know, where's her site? She fought for decades against the Portuguese.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, where's her site? Where do we go to feel that feeling of greatness? You know, where we are reminded of the warrior spirit inside of us. Where do we go and get that? You know, we are the ones who are going to have to, you know, put these memorials and statues. Yes, we have to lead the march, because we have them. They do exist. But anyway, let's go back to the presentation.
I tell you, the time, and this is just a young man there. Except, the time has run away.
We only have 10 minutes left. Which one do you want to talk about?
Let's go with the one of, no, go back to the one where people are walking towards the concrete structure. This one.
Yeah.
Now, this is Africa Remembrance Day, the 1st of August, 1997.
Right.
The bones, I joined the Africa Remembrance Day committee with Onakechi Wambu and a number of other Africans, Sister Makeda, Sister Ascala, and others. And the bones of our ancestors washed up in about June on the Reparee Cove in Devon. It was said to be a ship that was left St. Lucia for Africa, but sunk. And this time in 19...
How many years? When did the ship leave?
We don't have the date of when the ship sank, but it was identified by the whomever, the people who recoup these things, as the name of the ship was recognized as the one that left St. Lucia. So the African Remembrance Committee, as well as I was one of the speakers, Bernie Grant, Cecil Gutsmore, my granddaughter did a poem, and we organized 3 coachloads to go down to Reparee Cove to pour libation and to give solace to our ancestral spirits that had died at that spot. Osera Set Society did the ritual and came with their own coachload of African spiritualists to do that libation for that. Bernie Grant, as I said, spoke. I spoke. Cecil Gutsmore, my granddaughter, and there were other speakers as well. Again, I've got much of this in the archives. This picture is one of 2 that was sent to me by Sister Jacques Fergus and her friend. And I really appreciate that, because obviously I was busy organizing and assisting, so I didn't have time. It's not like now you have your little mobile phone, you just take it out and you snap. So I didn't get any pictures. So I really appreciate this. I know Sister Moremi has some pictures, but I'm not sure if she's got them back yet. She had loaned them to someone. She had a ream of pictures of the whole day, and she loaned them to someone. So I don't know if she's got them back yet. But I wanted to mention that, because that is something that we have done here to honor our ancestors and to show them the respect that we feel that they are due. And I was really privileged to be part of that. And one of the really big things that I'd like to take credit for that is we couldn't get any coaches that we could afford. So one day I saw some school buses and I parked my car, raced up to the driver and said, "Excuse me, do you know what they do with these school buses during the holidays?" Because we were going in August. And he said, "Oh, they park them, or if somebody wants to rent them, they'll rent them for a small fee." So, I mean, I took the number, got it, and we were able to hire 2 of the buses. So, you know.
You see, when you use initiative,
Well,
see when you follow your spirit. You know, you could have sit down there in the car and said, "Chuck your brother." Yeah, but you park up the car, you run to catch him, and had the conversation, and look there. You know, all of those people managed to benefit from that. So I want to rise up Hani, who's letting us know that Queen Amina movie is now on Netflix called Amina.
Nice.
Yes, so we have to check that one out. I wonder who the producer is of that, because remember, if we're going to tell our story, it's going to be different from how others would tell our stories. And so, you know, we are the ones who are going to have to go into the film industry and be telling these stories of our great ones. We need to bring them to life in film, in book, in movies, in everything. You know, you know, otherwise soon you will see Amina and you would think that she's a European, you know.
Exactly. You know the run-ins.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure everybody who watching know as well.
You know the run-ins.
Which one would you like to? I think we got time for one, maybe.
Okay,
maybe
run again then, and let's see.
Okay,
so let me speak to this one then. This was a leaving do at New Initiatives in Willington Road when I was going home to Jamaica to work in 1990. That would have been taken in 1997, because I went home in February 1998, and all the community had gathered for a leaving do, but it was also Kwanzaa. And that hall at New Initiatives, Willington Road, was always used for Black community celebrations. And we give thanks to Paul, Brother Pablo Paul, and Sister Ella, who always shared that facility with the community so that we could organize cultural events. And so that was my leaving do, but it was also Kwanzaa time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Okay, we've got about 4 minutes. Family, if you have any closing questions for our beautiful Queen Nzingha, you know, how have you enjoyed her presentation? It's been a different sort of presentation for today, because it's so important, you know, that we recognize the great works of our warriors, our freedom fighters in our community, those who are doing the great works. And so, you know, we wanted to give over the platform today to celebrate, you know, our beautiful Queen Nzingha, who has worked tirelessly in our community, not for herself, for us, who's put her hands in her pocket, you know, has done what is needed to be done. So, yeah, show us some love, family. Show us some love and some hearts in the chat. Queen Nzingha, do you want to take 2 minutes just to tell us about these pictures here?
Okay. Well, this one is speaking at the introduction of the In Praise of African Women conference in 1995. All of these are the Barbados formation of the Global African Congress. That's the Sherborne Community Centre in Christchurch, Barbados, where that was held. This is Alki Bulan. There's Brother Kwame. There's Brother Olatunji. There's Brother Leader. There's a whole range of us that was in Barbados. And this is also the British delegation this is me in the Kente and some other brothers. There's Sister Esther Stanford there, Sister Pat from Oxford. There's a whole heap of us, Brother Beanie, Brother Pepperkai, Elder Huey, Brother Kwaku was there. I've got a picture of Brother Kwaku taking snaps and pictures, etc., etc. Yes, so you can see clearly Brother Leader there and Brother Olatunji. Sister Kai was there, and there's Kwame Maulanga, you know, your Kwame from Galaxy, and so on. Yeah. Brilliant. It was a wonderful conference. It was so, I mean, there was Africans from every which part of the globe. It was just amazing meeting all those Africans from everywhere. Great, great event. Can't hear you.
My sis, it has been absolutely amazing hearing your wonderful stories. And I know that there's so many more stories, great stories inside of you. So please do, you know, get those stories down in your autobiography so that, you know, our futures in 100, 200 years' time can be reading those stories, because it's our story during our time as well. Indeed. And to everyone in the chat who has been listening, who's been contributing, who's given us the thumbs up, who's given us the likes, we thank you so much. Let me see if we can get one or two just closing remarks. Sister Afrijamo has said, Sister Shanice, Queen Nzingha, thank you. Thank you. Oh, where's it gone? Oh, yeah, thank you for another inspiring and very interesting show. Thank you, Sister Afrijamo, for joining us again today. Brother Kwame, thank you for bigging us up as women as well in the chat. And he says, why don't the majority of our women today be like those queens of yesterday? Too much wives of Atlanta. Well, it depends what channel you're watching. I don't even see those ones, to be honest, my brother. You know, but
I don't even know where my talk about.
Oh, all I say, we shan't
I just want to give you a big up as well.
Never done. We can't done. All I say, we're done. We can't done. Woman can't done. Audrey is saying, I learned so much tonight from our queen. Rise up, Sister Enzinga. Beautiful. This is exactly why, you know, we needed to have you here. So family, thank you. Next strong, we've got Leader Bandaka in the house.
Another
and, you know, a few other panel members. So
Sister Shanice, I'm going to stop you and tell you a big thank you, because I know how hard you work. And, you know, making such a lot of effort on our people's behalf. And we need to big you up as well, as everybody else.
Thank you so much. So to everyone who's been watching in the audience, thank you so much. To those of you who are going to share this inspirational show, thank you so much. And we look forward to you joining us same time next strong, 8 p.m. GMT time, live and direct. Queen Nzingha, keep rising. Keep rising. Keep doing the works for our people.
Definitely.
More love, more
and
strength, and more voodoo power.
Voodoo.
Yes. One love.
One love. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.